Thank you for joining us for this week's Friday Fix. I am Miss Mandy, here to help you get your fix of new picture book biographies. First, we have The Polio Pioneer, Dr. Jonas Salk and the Polio Vaccine by Linda Elovitz Marshall and Lisa Anshin. If you are curious about what goes into creating vaccines, this is an interesting look at a very important vaccine from the 1950s. Dr. Jonas Salk first helped with flu vaccines and then went to work on the polio vaccine. When kids were allowed to go out and play again after the fear of polio had passed, there was a collective sigh of relief. Next we have She Was the First, The Trailblazing Life of Shirley Chisholm by Catherine Russell Brown and Eric Velazquez. Shirley Chisholm grew up in New York and Barbados. She was a natural leader and decided to pursue politics. She was the first Black woman in the New York State Assembly, in the U.S. Congress, and the first Black candidate from a major political party to run for president. She served 14 years in Congress and opened the door for many of today's leaders. Our third book is the bilingual biography called Sharuko, El Arqueológico Peruano, Peruvian archaeologist Julio C. Tello, by Monica Brown and Eliza Shafari. Julio Tello was an indigenous Peruvian who loved to explore. He got the nickname Sharuko, which is Quechua for brave. He studied medicine, anthropology, and archaeology. He started archaeological digs in Peru on the sites of the indigenous Chavan and Paracas peoples. Sharuko helped Peruvians learn more about their own history and not just the history told to them by others. Next up is 1,000 Glass Flowers, Marietta Barovier and the Invention of the Rosetta Bead by Evan Turk. The Barovier family were glassmakers who lived outside of Venice, Italy. Marietta's father allowed her to help with the glassblowing, but didn't usually let her accompany him and his sons on the business trips. When she did finally get to go on a business trip, she was amazed by a multicolored glass bowl and by the beautiful mosaics in San Marco. After her father's death, Marietta experimented with glassblowing techniques and created the multicolored Rosetta bead. Our fifth book is The Boy Who Thought Outside the Box, the story of video game inventor Ralph Baer by Marcy Wessels and Beatrice Castro. Ralph Baer was a German-American who loved to take things apart and figure out how they worked. When his family brought home leather goods from the factory to work on at home, Ralph saved them time by creating a leather punch. He repaired radios in his spare time and even built one from scratch while in the Army. As technology moved on, he became interested in television, convinced there was a way to use it for games. He created the Magnavox Odyssey, the first video game console. He also created the Simon toy. Our last recommendation today is actually two biographies about the geologist Marie Tharp. Ocean Speaks by Jess Keating and Katie Hickey introduces this important scientist to a younger audience. Marie's Ocean by Josie James offers more in-depth information on Marie Tharp and on the science that she was part of. Marie studied geology and math and plotted data points from sonar pings on the ocean floor. While creating maps, she discovered the rift or valley surrounded by mountains going the whole length of the Atlantic Ocean. Her discovery changed what we know about the ocean and the world around us. That's all we have for today. Join us next week for some great I Can Read recommendations, and don't forget to log your reading in Beanstack as part of our Winter Reading Challenge. Have a great weekend.